Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Your Dreams Off the Ground webinar. How are we all today? It's good to see everybody back. Welcome, welcome. Really nice to see you here. So yesterday was a bit of a disaster, and today I would actually like to start with a video just to bring us all into a higher frequency of understanding, because nobody really does it as well as Bob Proctor. So here we go. I'm going to do a screen share. And
understand you're a mass of energy and you do function on frequencies. Just like your phone functions on a frequency. You function on frequency. Let those lines represent levels of vibration. A frequency is a level of vibration. There's an infinite number of frequencies. You are on a frequency. Law of vibration decrees that everything moves, nothing rests. Everything moves. We literally live in an ocean of motion, no question about it.
See, every frequency, it's like the colors of a rainbow. As they fit together, there's no place where one color stops and the other starts. They're all joined together. Now, you're never going to see that with something you call sight. Sight is a physical sensory factor.
This table vibrates.
It appears to be solid, but it's really not. If you look under a microscope, you'll see particles of energy moving.
It's moving. Now, it appears to be still. It isn't still. It's moving so fast it appears to be still. Let's understand, frequency is a level of vibration.
If nothing's created or destroyed, you've got to get on the same frequency
That
as
is
the
the
good
young
that you
Bob
desire is on.
Proctor.
There's music in this room right now. You don't hear it, but it's here. If I brought in a little transistorized radio and turned it on, you'd hear the music.
There's music in this room right now. There's all kinds of different music in this room right now. We don't hear it, but it's here.
And all I have to do is change the dial and I get different music. And change it again to get different music. And what am I doing? I'm tuning in on different frequencies. And as you get the image and get involved, you alter the frequency you're on. Therefore, you attract whatever's on that frequency.
You can go like that onto a higher frequency. But you can also go like that onto a lower frequency. Then some people do that. Everything is hooked together. There is no line of demarcation where one thing stops and another starts. Everything, we're all connected. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your political aspirations or desires or likes and dislikes are. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care what gender. None of this stuff matters. We are all hooked together. You're dealing with infinite. No beginning, no end. Get it in your head. You are a creative being. No limit to what you can do. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Okay. I thought that was really, really inspiring and amazing. And so I'm going to take it from here. We live in a vibrational universe. And you and I are masses of concentrated energy, not just any energy. There is something else that I would share with you. I want to read out a passage from the book by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill wrote a book in 1937 called Think and Grow Rich. And this book came into Bob Proctor's life in 1961. And he never put it out of his hand. He read it every day since then. He's been studying it and reading it. And often on a video, you see him holding it. It's tattered. It's falling apart. But he says every time he goes back to the book, he discovers something new because he is another person. He changes. And so what he sees is different each time. I want to read out something from the book, a passage. And it is out of the chapter called How Much Are You Worth? And you have to imagine this is 100 years ago almost. And Napoleon Hill writes, before the atomic age, chemistry professors used to say that a person's worth from a strictly chemical point of view was about $32. That means if you broke him down, see, and just took the minerals out of his body, that stuff was worth $32. In recent years, this view has undergone a startling change. Scientists now calculate that if the electronic energy in the hydrogen atoms of your body could be utilized, you could supply all the electrical needs of a large, highly industrialized country for nearly a week. And a DuPont scientist said that the atoms of your body contain a potential energy of more than 11 million kilowatt per hour per pound. The average person, by this estimate, is worth about $85 billion. Can you imagine that? And then the most important and beautiful part, he writes, moreover, the electrons in the atoms of your body are not just particles of matter. They're waves of living energy. And these waves ripple out and spread themselves in patterns of light. And as they move, they sing. If you had the proper hearing aid, you could hear a great symphonic concert as these waves play and flow, merging with the waves of neighboring atoms. And they not only sing, they shine. If you could stand in front of an infrared television camera in a completely dark room, the screen will show you from top to toe as a glistening, radiating, gleaming form. In short, you are a whole lot more than meets the casual eye. I really would like you to let that information sink in and become more and more a part of how you see yourself. I believe that this shining, singing energy that the scientist describes is what the ancient Indians used to call Satchidananda. The ancient sages of India described these waves, this music, and this light, I believe, in the words Satchidananda. Roughly translated, it means truth, light, and bliss. Okay, now let's do a quick recap of yesterday. We exist on 4 levels. We are spiritual beings, self-aware points of universal intelligence, and we are God's highest form of creation. So here we are. We have an intellect, a conscious mind with which we think, we can form ideas. These are where our thoughts come from here. We have a subconscious mind, that is our emotional mind. The subconscious mind is purely deductive. It has to accept everything that is planted inside it. This is also where the paradigm resides. And then we have the body. And the body is an expression. It's an instrument of the mind. And it expresses the thought, emotions that are planted into it. In turn, in vibrations, you have the vibrations in your body, and those control the way you act and the way you behave. And then here, as you see again, we have these 5 senses. We all know these things. It's just that this information is directed in a very intelligent way towards helping you to understand yourself and towards actually giving you images to work with. So here we have the 5 senses that are hardwired to our conscious mind. They are hearing, taste, smell, touch, and sight. and they constantly, it's like the 6-lane highway, constantly information is flowing in. And these thoughts that are formed by what we see, hear, and touch, and smell, and hear, these thoughts we impress onto our emotional mind. Then we get emotionally invested in those thoughts. Those emotions are impressed onto the body. They create a vibration in the body. And the body then executes what is impressed on it through action and behavior. And from the universe, we draw matching energy, results and circumstances that match the vibration that we're putting out, and those are our results. Okay, cool. We've done that bit. Here we are then. So all three aspects are our manifested being. So the mind is a manifestation. Thoughts are manifestations. Emotions are manifestations, even though we don't see them. And then the body expresses those, and then that we see, right? Now, I mentioned yesterday how when we come onto the planet, when we are first born, our mind is an open shell, an open bowl. And these things that come in form our paradigms, which then create the self-image, the worldview that we have, and often it's connected to lackfulness, poverty thinking, and a poor self-image. I want to talk a little bit because yesterday after the presentation, I went for a walk by this beautiful lake, and there I found a bench and I sat down and I watched the sunset. And I went into myself because I had really come hard up against my own paradigms yesterday. And it freaked me out. It really did. It freaked me out a bit. I really felt like, even though you couldn't see it on the outside, I checked afterwards, you couldn't see it, but inside I felt like I was going to die. My whole body was just excruciatingly uncomfortable. So I grew up in Auroville in India, and I don't want to get lost in details, but as I sat on the bench, I looked at my life and I recognized a few things, and I thought I'd share those with you today. My paradigms, where they come from, I could really see it. So I grew up in a very conscious-minded community. Our community is best described as being spiritual, but not religious, and with many very high ideals. So when I grew up there and I went to school, I made it a point to study our founder, Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. Now, this philosophy really stretches your mind, and it gives you an understanding of the way the universe works, the way, it gives you a general idea of the divine presence of which the human is a point of individualized consciousness seeking itself. So I've been very familiar with these things and terms and knowledge. And, as a very young child, I started meditating. I was taken for meditations, and I learned by heart a book called The Ideal Child. So all this beautiful knowledge was building up in my intellect. But in my subconscious mind, my paradigm had also been built up already. So from a very young age, I was subjected to a lot of criticism and discrimination. And that created a self-image and a view of the world in which there was no place for me. I think people were well-meaning, but they were definitely acting out of their own paradigms. And so I grew up with a very, very depleted sense of self-worth. I was a very talented little child, though. I could have become a pianist, a singer, an actress. Everything I went into, I really did really, really well. And I had a lot of potential. But my knowing doing gap, the paradigm in between, just never really allowed me to express my strengths and my special gifts. The other paradigm that I took in before the age of 7, all this happens before the age of 7. So the other paradigm was a paradigm about money. And where I grew up in that community, we were all voluntary workers. My parents joined as voluntary workers. And so making money, working for money, having money was considered evil. It was considered evil. And that's the idea that I picked up as a child. It may not have been that way, but that's what went into my subconscious mind. Guilt around money, wanting it, making it, keeping it for yourself. This was all before the age of 7, before I had a rational mind. I just gathered this from conversations at home, conversations around, and it became my paradigm. Now, on another note, on a little funnier note, a lighter note, I want to share a story by Mary Morrissey. Mary Morrissey is my mentor, and she's a mindset coach, and she really coaches people around the money mindset. She has a fantastic course I did called 8 Spiritual Secrets of Multiplying Your Money. For me, hearing the word spiritual and hearing the words money is still hard to reconcile, but the course was amazing and it really shifted something in me. Now, she told us the story. She told us about how she was in this transformational seminar by a very famous spiritual mentor, teacher, and he walked onto stage, and what did he do? He took out a big fat wad of money and stuck a fan like that, big notes. And then he kissed it, mwah, 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 and he said, "This is money. I love money." And she said she could feel herself shrinking back into her seat in distaste. Like, oh, what did he mean? How was this going to be a spiritual seminar, she thought. Was she in the wrong place? And then he looked up at the audience and said, "How do you feel? Are you about to leave the room?" And if I had come with my little 1-year-old son and said, "This is my grandson. Mwah, 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 mwah. I love my grandson." And if I had kissed him here on stage in front of you, how would you feel then? And then he said, "You have a problem with money. You have a paradigm about money. We all do, and we need to look at it because both money and the boy are made of the same spiritual energy we call divine or God, whatever." So now back to my life. I studied a lot. I read many books. I had huge aspirations. And then I had a huge gap made up of my paradigms. And my actions, my behavior just did not reflect what I knew. And it was really frustrating. It was frustrating for me. It was frustrating for my teachers. They would ask me again and again, "Why did you do that?" And I would not know how to reply. I would say, "I don't know." We don't know why we do the things we know we shouldn't do and why we don't do the things we know we should. Today, I can see how this gap, this knowing-doing gap, affects everyone I know. When you set your standards so high and you know so much about how things should be, and you have a list of ideals that you are holding up to yourself and to those around you, the knowing-doing gap becomes a huge source of frustration. Frustration turned on yourself and frustration turned on others. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be. Eventually, I found the perfect occupation. I became a potter, living in the forest, isolated, creative, setting goals one by one and achieving them. The next project, the next store, the next show, the next level of expertise. I got really good at it. One day I heard Bob Proctor talk while I was working about how you, I, everyone, no matter how old, how young, how poor, how rich, can bridge this knowing doing gap. We can bridge it. And he was going to tell me how to do that. That really caught my attention. I've been looking around, seeing people with their knowing doing gap, seeing myself with my knowing doing gap. We had everything. We have everything. We have all the knowledge. We have the ideals. We have the philosophy. And yes, when you're holding a book in your hand, it's wonderful. It inspires you. And about 10 minutes after that, you feel uplifted. And then you see something that's not perfect, that shouldn't be that way. And boom, you're down and you're critical. You're critical about others. You're critical about yourself. Bob Proctor spoke. I went to my phone that was lying next to my working table and I saw him. I followed him. And this is how I discovered this holistic, hands-on, intelligent, repeatable, science-based method by which you can not only bridge the knowing-doing gap, but you can start taking those ideas, those goals, and bring them into matter. You can bridge your knowing-doing gap and you can live the life that you want to live. This method, this program is called Thinking into Results. I did not hesitate one moment to take the dive and join the Proctor Gallagher Institute, get trained, become a consultant with them, and start myself in the program, Thinking into Results. It's exactly that, thinking into results, not result-oriented thinking, thinking into results. Thinking into Results is a 6-month program designed by Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher, but it does not finish after 6 months. It just wakes you up to who you really are, your infinite potential, and it gives you a method, a repeatable method that you will and can study again and again and apply during the rest of your life. The information is universally true and it withstands the test of time. Bob Proctor has been teaching this for the last 60 years and he has changed millions of lives. He has changed the way businesses do business for many, many, many thousands of companies. And they are successful. They are making quantum leaps because they are no longer held back by their paradigms. Thinking into Results teaches us how we can achieve any goal we set ourselves and how the bigger the goal we set, the greater the growing and expanding on the journey to becoming more of who you really are becomes. Remember, spirit is always flowing to you and through you, and your desire is the unexpressed spirit waiting to express itself through you. All the rest is paradigms. You're so much more than these puny little ideas and beliefs that people have put into your subconscious mind. Millions of people have changed their lives. And this is something you apply, not just read and understand, but you apply it. Results come from actions. Actions are controlled by your behavior, by your subconscious mind. Let's close that knowing-doing gap and have some fun. What do you say? So when you're ready to join my self-help group in the Take Off Academy, and you're ready to commit yourself to your own freedom, then you can book a call with me and we can see if Thinking into Results is the right fit for you. And during that 6-month program that I will guide you through, you will study, absorb, think, and become a powerful, conscious, loving, creative human being. This planet is in need of your special gifts and strengths. You have one life, make it count. And remember, this is not a trial run, it's your precious life. I don't want you to wait another year, another 6 months before you make your decision. 10 years just go by in the snap of your fingers. So DM me today. And now we're going to look at the mind diagram again. Our paradigms are the first language that we learn. And this language controls our habitual thoughts, our self-image, our worldview. And it does this without our awareness. So awareness has become the essential commodity for anyone who wants to step out of their programming and into freedom. And awareness comes through study, and this study is the magic key. So what can you do? This is result-oriented thinking. We look at the results, we look at circumstances, and we think, we feel about it, we have vibrations, we act and behave in the same way. All of this happens on a same frequency, and our paradigms are in control of this. And our paradigms are in between our knowing and our doing. I don't want to bore you too much with that. So what, oopsie. This beautiful plant that is in my way is reminding me to be mindful of nature. It's very important to remember. Where we want to get is we want to get from the thought down to the thing. Upside down and inside out. We want the thoughts, the ideas to come into our mind. We want those ideas to come into our emotional mind and create a dream, and out of the dream we create the reality. We are inside out and upside down. This is a cycle of creation that we really want to do. Now we have these paradigms. Today my friend reminded me, these paradigms, they've kept you safe for the first years of your life. So before we release our paradigms, I think it's a good practice to say thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe. And I know that your purpose is to keep me safe, and I know that you have done a good job. So I thank you now, and now I release you. So how do we do that? I'm going to give you a few steps that you can start with. Look around you, become aware of the results in your life that are unwanted. You realize then that they reflect your paradigm. Take a piece of paper and write them down, and write down the effect they have in your life. Write down what you don't like about them. Just write them down. Describe them in as much detail as you can. And then you realize that the circumstances in your life that are bothering you are a reflection of your paradigm. Now then you take another piece of paper and you write down the solution. You write down the how and what that would make you grateful and happy. You write the opposite of each of the points that you noted. You use your imagination. You have an amazing faculty in the mind called the imagination. Imagine the solution. Create it on a spiritual level with your imagination. Then write it down. What happens when you take a pen and write on paper? You create neurological pathways in your brain. So you're already creating that connection between the thought and matter. start your sentences with I'm so grateful and happy now that, and then you write in the present tense. Here I want to give a special shout out to my friend Bindu Bodamapu for reminding me this morning to write down my paradigms after I've hit them full on yesterday. I'm blessed with such an amazing study partner. We have a 6 a.m. study meet 5 days a week. And accountability is so important when you're doing mindset work. Because when you're working with your paradigms, well, you know, I'm telling you to do this, but when I hit them, and yesterday it was like a ton of bricks falling on me, and I still hadn't gotten down to writing them down. I still hadn't gotten down to writing them and then writing my affirmations on them. So this morning when I met Bindu at 6 a.m. online, she said, have you done this? And I said, no, I haven't. And then I did. So I really want to give her a big thank you. You see, this is what the role of a mindset coach really is in the Thinking into Results program. When you go to make a change in your paradigms, in your mindset, in your belief system, your logic and your old beliefs are going to stop you. They're going to come up and not let you go forward. They're going to tell you it's all nonsense, it's not true, you can't do this. You have to build your affirmations from the positive list of the opposite of what your paradigms are showing you in your life that you don't like, that you don't want. They are a reflection. The outside reflects the inside, and you can use that to grow. Understand that when you are writing this, you are planting seeds. When you're thinking about it, when you're visualizing it, when you make a picture, again, you use your imagination and you create a picture of the solution. There was a time when the people I lived with turned on the TV every morning, and I had to listen to the news. And it was news about the war in the Ukraine every day. And I felt assaulted, and I felt like I really wanted to do something about it. So what could I do? And I had this idea. I imagined a scene where thousands of soldiers are just taking their guns, taking their weapons and laying them on the ground. And then they're walking across the line and they hug each other. And I said, even if that is all I can do, it is something. I'm not adding to the stream of negative vibration through my sad emotions, frustrated emotions. I'm creating something new. It's in the world of thoughts. It's in the non-tangible world. But it's something. It's a seed. Imagine if many, many, many of us do that, plant those seeds. Some soldiers might get the idea, not to put down their weapons. So understand that you are planting seeds that will grow with the right nurturing. Now here the law of gender helps us to surrender the time factor. That's the other thing that always trips us up. We go like, oh, I'm visualizing this. I want this. I've visualized it. I've written it down 5 times. And then tomorrow I'm looking around and going like, okay, where is it? Oh, it's not working. Oh, damn, it's not working. So you have to understand that you are planting a seed. A farmer plants a grain. He doesn't go out the next day and looks on the ground and says, where the hell are you? He waters it, he nurtures it, and it grows. Nurturing for ideas and nurturing for our goals, those images, is attention. It is energy given through attention. It is imagination and getting emotionally involved in the idea. And then you use the tool of assumption to build your faith. And here I'd like to show you how that works. And if we have time, I will show it to you today. And otherwise, I will show it to you, this tool of assumption, tomorrow. Let us have a quick look at faith and fear. Faith and fear both ask you to accept something that you cannot see. and both work on the assumption of something not yet happened. Faith is built on study and understanding. And fear, well, fear is based on ignorance and just not knowing. And your paradigms use this as their main deterrent factor, fear and doubt. I'm going to have a look at this we're going to look at in a minute. Okay, can you see this? Fear and faith. Fear comes from ignorance. The vibration of fear is a negative vibration, and when you're afraid, you can really feel that vibration in your body. Ignorance creates worry and doubt, and you have negative ideas that are formed in your mind through worry and doubt, and those create anxiety. Anxiety is the emotional expression of that worry and doubt and the negative thinking. Now, the anxiety and the negative emotions, we don't express them, we suppress them. We suppress them, and they then form depression over time. And then depression in the body, that vibration of being sad, upset, frustrated, that then causes disease. And that vibration of disease, then of course, then you go into disintegration. On the other hand, you have faith. This is positive thoughts. This comes through knowledge and study. The more you study yourself, the more you come to love yourself. You think like, wow, I'm such an amazing being. I'm such an amazing creation of God. And that study gives you understanding. And the understanding then allows you to believe in what you can't see. And that faith, that belief, then gives you well-being. You believe that, you know, your dream, your goal is coming. It's on its way into matter. You just have to be open, take the step towards it, decide you're going to move through your paradigms. And that well-being expresses itself and you're at ease in your body, and that at ease accelerates the energy in the body. You're full of energy. You really get active, and you have so much energy, and you create it. You start, this is the cycle of creation. Then you create creation. This amazing part of our intellectual mind, this is where we can choose. We have a choice. Nobody can go into your mind and force you to think something you do not want to think. I remember here the story of this very famous Austrian, I think he was a psychologist who got trapped in the Nazi concentration camps, and he lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his everything. And he came out of there saying, man's last freedom is what is to see the positive in the worst of circumstances. So he kept a hold of his intellectual mind, and he decided he was going to see meaning in what was happening around him. So there you really have the freedom to choose. And the more aware you become, the better you can choose, right? Once you've made your choice and you implant the thoughts regularly and with repetition onto your emotional mind, those translate into feelings. And those then get expressed through the body. I just wanted you to see this. This is the difference between faith and fear, and we can choose faith based on understanding, based on study, or fear based on ignorance and doing nothing. It's up to you. I want to ask you, when you put your head on your pillow for the last time in your life, and your life is over, and you look back at your life, what do you want to see? Do you want to see how you managed to tiptoe through life safely without rocking the boat while your dreams were just fading into nothingness? Or do you want to see a life where you took risks, where you faced and outgrew your limiting beliefs, where your dreams were brought into matter by you, by your understanding and mastery of yourself, where you shone in the world and made a real impact on people's lives for the good? It's just a question. Steve Jobs says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. Make the decision to change. Take the first step. Not tomorrow, not when it is convenient. It will never be convenient in the eyes of your paradigm. By the time you're an adult, your paradigm has done its job. And now it's up to you to create a new paradigm, the one that reflects your true values and grows your unique gifts, your special strengths. And it is time. I'm going to end with a video. And before that, I would like you to remember that tomorrow, Erin Chang, my friend from Taiwan, who now lives in Jakarta, is going to come onto our webinar and share her valuable insights into healing using vibrations and frequencies and crystals. And I will now play the video for you.
I'll tell you what I've learned. If you write a lie on a card and you read it often enough, you're going to start to believe it.
Pay attention here.
Whatever you write, if you write it over and over and over, write it over and over and over. See, writing causes thinking. Thinking creates an image. As you get emotionally involved in the image, you're planting it universal intelligence. Universal intelligence is amoral. It doesn't care what you plant, but it'll return what you plant. I think I quoted Earl where he said you can plant nightshade, a deadly poison, a 16th of an inch away. You can plant corn, a sweet food. One will grow with just as great an abundance as the other. That's the truth. Hitler proved that. Told the people a lie. But in his charismatic way of putting it across, and he kept doing it over and over, the people started to believe it. First he had them burning the books, then he had them burning the people. There's people alive today still believe he was right. Is evil and is wrong. If you build an image and you internalize it, you're planting in universal intelligence. Universal intelligence operates by law. The first law is the perpetual transmutation of energy. It's got to move into form. Quit trying to figure out how it's going to happen. You don't know enough. Just know it's going to happen. And you see, the key there is, are you ready? If you don't believe, you're not ready. You can believe they can do it and not have the foggiest idea how it's going to happen. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. What do we mean? You become one with it. You become one with that state. This union results in the activation, projection of the plots and plans and conditions and circumstances. Doesn't matter how it's going to happen. That's the interesting part of the trip. Discovering how it's going to happen. God, I met her, and I met him, and then I met them, And they come and said this. Then I stumbled on this book. This new state of conscious awareness becomes your home. You live there. You may be the only one living there. And that's where you view the world from there. Get your workshop, and if you're observant, you'll see outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. Well, wonderful information, my goodness.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming to the webinar. I am really happy today to be able to share what I've been studying and learning with you. And I will see you again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye now.